Hello, Mustang basketball fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University, and a busy week of Mustang basketball to recap SMSU with three very tough games, playing at South Dakota State and then taking on Central Missouri and Northwest Missouri State. We'll take a look at those ball games, talk about it with the head coach, and preview this week's game versus the University of Sioux Falls, the conference opener for the 2012-13 season. And joining us, as always, is the head coach, Brad Bigler. Again, as I mentioned, the Mustangs coming off a very busy week with three very tough games against a Division I opponent and two teams ranked very high in their conference preseason poll. And of course, then the Mustangs tip off the real season, I guess you can say, with the conference season coming up on Saturday. So lots to talk about on this week's show. And Coach, we finished up the non-conference season at 3-4. Mustangs losing to South Dakota State just before Thanksgiving. Then you go to Missouri and play two very good teams. And we'll break down the games here shortly. But let's talk about your overall thought here of the first seven non-conference games.
Well, going in, we knew it was going to be a challenge. I mean, anytime you're playing your first 6 out of 7 games on the road, playing in Division I, playing in a few different tournaments, you know it's going to be challenging. We played, what was exciting about those, we played a variety of schools all over the country, from North Carolina, Grand Canyon to the Missouri schools, and we got a good test in each contest that we played. And I think throughout the time, we have improved, and now we just need to take what we've learned and get better. I think that's sometimes, just because you play good competition doesn't mean you're automatically going to be better. Yep. You have to learn from your mistakes. You have to keep working on it, and I think we will.
Yes, of course, the Mustangs, we'll talk about and see some of the highlights here shortly. They opened up this past week losing at South Dakota State 81-72 against a team that went to the NCAA tournament last year at the Division I level. They're picked to win their conference and playing one of the top 50 players in the country by numerous publications, and Nate Walters. Coach, let's talk about that game, a game that you were in for much of that, except maybe about a 5-6 minute stretch that the Jacks extended the lead to 15 to 20 points, but you came back and they had to play their starters the whole game, and a really good game against a very good competition.
And we're always fortunate that they'll play us. They could easily choose not to play us. We're very thankful. They've been very kind to us over the last 6 years playing us. And it seems to be a game where I think we make them better, and I know they make us better. Very good competition. Like you said, it went back and forth in the first half. We kind of had a running joke before the game because they never play zone defense. And kind of had a running joke, if they played zone defense, we're going to get extra money on the contract.
Okay,
but
yeah.
No, we were scoring well in the man-to-man. They went to a zone, and like you said, for about a 5-minute stretch, we just didn't handle the zone like we could have. And that's also something you learn from. That's also something that now we have to put some more time in this week. But again, a great contest. South Dakota State's a very talented team, and we're going to look forward to following them throughout the year.
And of course, you shoot pretty well in the contest at 51%. You make 8 3-pointers. Didn't get to the line very much, just 4 or 5, which is kind of expected every time we play there. They're very, a team that's aggressive and gets to the free throw line, and that was the one disappointing part. But you only had 10 turnovers. Overall, a pretty solid effort, as you mentioned. It made your team better, and that's exactly what you're trying to do.
And I think when you look at the stat sheet, offensive rebounds were a concern. And I think that's something I'm not going to address every week. We know that's not a strength of ours. It's something that we don't have to dwell on. We know we have to work on that. We know we have to focus on it. And there was, when you went back and you evaluated the possessions, there were some jump balls where you're just not going to win. They have a 6'10" guy going straight up in the air versus a 6'3" guy. That's just not going to a battle you're going to win. And I think the biggest thing that we have to continue to do is to even fight. When they get those offensive rebounds, don't let it affect us mentally, and just keep working, keep trying to get a stop. They haven't scored yet. Keep fighting and just keep working.
And of course, that game against the Division I, it does go on the overall record for the Mustangs, but come tournament time, if the Mustangs are fortunate to have a chance to continue postseason and get into postseason play, that game really wouldn't have mattered either way with the win or a loss. But then you go on the road this weekend and you go to Missouri to play two teams that are new to our region. From the Missouri or from the Mid-American Athletic Association, the MIAA, teams that both won their league last year. They tied for the conference championship and are favored to go back to the NCAA tournament, or at least be high in their conference. Central Missouri and Northwest Missouri, and teams that just a different look, as you mentioned. It's fun to play somebody different. We had played Northwest Missouri a few years ago, but an exciting new challenge for you guys, and you rose to the occasion on Saturday. Didn't play great basketball, but you get a big win. Going into the weekend, our guys knew the importance. These are like conference games, just because of what they mean at the end of the year. And if things were to play out like we want them to play out later in the year, we want to be in that regional ranking. I truly believe that both of these teams will be right up there as well. They're both talented and they're deep. And this is a game where, like Central Mo, beating them on a neutral site away from home, that's a big win for a head-to-head matchup. Now, losing to Northwest Mo, unless the rules have changed, it doesn't hurt us as much, just because we're going to their place. We only play them one time. We lost at their place. It doesn't hurt you, but that win versus Central Mo is a big win. Yeah, of course. And come the NCAA tournament time, we talk about that. They go with Division II record overall, and then how you do in region and common opponents. And that's why, as Coach mentioned, very big for the Mustangs to beat Central Missouri, a team that's going to be very high in that conference and will be a factor come NCAA tournament time. Let's talk about that tournament. The Mustangs do open up on Saturday with a 64-62 victory over Central Missouri. Matt Zager, a shot with 5 seconds to go, wins the game for the Mustangs. And you did have a rebound advantage in that situation. You did have a lot of turnovers. It wasn't the most crisp play game for you guys, especially on the offensive end, but able to make some plays. But what were some of the struggles that you guys had in that game? Well, when you look at it, and I talked with Aaron Zemer after the game on the radio show, when you go to a tournament and you're two teams that are coming in to play in the tournament that is not the host team, it's a tough environment to play in. It was a quiet gym, maybe 50 people in the gym. So it's a quiet environment. I think both teams, not just us, but Central Mo, struggled with that. And it was a very sloppy game in many ways. A lot of turnovers by both teams. Neither team could really get going, but you have to find a way to win those games. That's why you put yourselves in that environment. Later on in a regional tournament, or if we were fortunate to get further, there's a conference tournament. There's going to be games where there's not going to be big crowds either. So you got to find a way to give yourself energy by the bench, by communication, and just be able to grind those types of games out. Well, the Mustangs had a double-double in the contest by Jordan Miller, 18 points, 10 rebounds, also had 5 assists. Matt Zager, 14 points and 5 rebounds. Good to see Matt get back in the lineup. He missed a couple of games with an injury, including that home opener against Michigan Tech. He finished 6 of 11 from the field, hit a couple of threes, and Matt is capable of hitting that outside jumper and hitting it from 20-plus feet to hit that three-pointer, and he showed that here with a couple in the game and then have the ability to drive and get the game-winning basket. When you're scouting Matt, I think a lot of times teams say take away his drive, because that's what he's known for. Getting to the rim, finishing with contact, that's definitely a strength of his. But as you can see, he has the ability to knock down that open three. I think that's where you see Bernard and Jordan Miller and Tremel Barnes driving and kicking, and Matt's wide open. Those are high percentage shots. And those are shots also, unless if he does miss it, those are high percentage offensive rebound type shots too, where guys can anticipate, attack the boards, and those are just good shots. And we'll see the highlights here shortly, but let's talk about that last a minute or so, Coach. Both teams had a couple of chances to take the lead in the final 90 seconds or so. You guys get a big defensive rebound. You call a timeout. Kind of talk about what you set up in the huddle and what happened there in the final seconds before we watch it here shortly. Well, I wish we could be talking about a play that designed and worked and everything, but actually it broke down. Central Mo stepped out and double-teamed Tremel, and it was a scramble situation where Matt got the ball in the wing. There's quite a few people on top. Matt drove to the middle and just finished over a guy. So great individual effort by Matt, and but then we also had to get a stop. 5 seconds left in the clock. They inbounded. We came down. Protected the paint fairly well, but well enough where they couldn't get a shot off. And of course, over the years, those final few seconds have been kind of a tough, many tough breaks for the Mustangs, but able to get that stop and get the win 64-62, and able to overcome a little adversity in the contest. And we'll talk about this shortly because you had to deal with it the next day. But Bernard Birch goes down with an injury in the second half of the game against Central Mo, and fortunately, you have some depth there, and you can play Tremel Barnes, and Jordan Miller can play the point as well. But it's tough to lose your starting point guard, and obviously that came into Sunday's play as well.
Yeah, and we right now we don't want to use any injuries as excuses, but when you lose Matt Zager for a game and a half, you lose Bernard Birch for now a game and a half, kind of. That does make an impact. It makes an impact on your rotations. It affects the roles of guys on the team, and I think that has been an unfortunate thing that we've had to overcome. Maybe it makes us better in the long run, where Jordan Buddenhagen and Sean Connon can get more minutes. But I guess we'll see how that plays out.
Well, after the win on Saturday, the Mustangs had 24 hours and prepare for Northwest Missouri State, a team that was undefeated coming into the game. The Mustangs lose 74-62. Southwest didn't play particularly well in the first half, trailing 38-29, fell behind by double digits in the second half, and really made a nice run to get back into it. You got down to 5 with about 3 minutes to go, but Northwest able to hold off for the win, 74-62. Let's talk about the Northwest Missouri game, Coach, because again, what we look at a lot is your assist-to-turnover ratio. Obviously, when you're shooting well and you're playing well, you're going to get a lot more assists, but the game South Dakota State, you had quite a few, and you played very well. Only had 8 against Northwest Moa, and it's probably reflective of how the outcome comes as well.
Yeah, and a lot of our mistakes are where we miss a lot of shots. We miss a lot of good shots, a lot of baskets within 5 feet, and sometimes those are shots that when you're one-on-one in the paint area or a layup, those are hard to get offensive rebounds too. So a lot of times, I always say when you miss a layup on one end, it ends up being an easy bucket on the other end, and those are big momentum plays. And I thought that happened a lot versus Northwest Moa, where our effort was there. It's just we weren't finishing possessions, and they were able to capitalize on our mistakes. Well,
one of the Mustangs who had a solid game once again, it was junior Nick Smith. 14 points at 7 rebounds, 6 of 10 from the field. He had 4 blocked shots. And Coach, he's really been a steady guy this year for you. You knew he would be. He's an upperclassman now. He's had 3 double-doubles this season and really giving you consistent numbers. If he could average 14 and 8 every game, you'd take that.
And what he's doing is he's having good patience. He's knowing when to attack, when to kick out. He's a guy that we believe will score majority of the time in a one-on-one situation. And we're also finding him. We're finding him in transition. We're finding him in the half court where he can just catch and finish. So guys are being playmakers for him, as well as Nick working hard and getting, scoring one-on-one.
Also Mustang scoring, Jordan Miller had 11 points and 5 rebounds. Didn't shoot particularly a high percentage, Coach. And through 7 games, we know Jordan is streaky at times, and when he catches fire, he's one of the best players, best shooters in the conference. And, what can you do to get maybe Jordan on track a little bit more? Is it just more patience, let the game come to him, or is it just something that you have to deal with? And shooters, you play the game, and sometimes that just you struggle at times.
Yeah, don't put me in that category. I didn't shoot. So, but what I would say with Jordan is, I think the biggest thing that when I look at Jordan's stats is he's not getting the foul line as much this year, and he's not finishing inside as well. And I think those are the 2 things. I think he's missing a lot of baskets that he can make, a lot of baskets he's made in his career, and he'll get back to that. But getting him to the foul line, I think that'll help him get a rhythm in a game. Right now, he's taking a lot of perimeter shots. Now, granted, they are open, but if we can get him to the rim, get him to the foul line, I think that'll best help him and our team.
And a guy we talked about in last week's show who's played very well coming off the bench and hitting some big shots, and that's Jordan Buddenhagen. He had 2 3-pointers in the game and, got you back into it again. He seemed like he's hit some big shots this year to keep you against Michigan Tech and against Northwest Missouri State. And those are key to get guys like Jordan going, because just adding to that, to the depth on your team is going to be big.
With his ability to shoot the 3, right now his role is a big role. When he comes in the game, he needs to spread the floor, being able to knock down that shot. And what I like best about Jordan is, Jordan Buddenhagen, is when he comes in the game, he can come in the game cold, and he can bury that first 3 when he steps out there, right off the go. And you love that about a guy coming off the bench. That shows that he's into the game when he's on the bench. He's ready to go, and when his number's called, he steps up.
Again, the Mustangs do fall to Northwest Missouri 74-62 in that second game of the Northwest Missouri State Classic. You are watching Mustang basketball with Brad Bigler, and we're going to take a look at some highlights from this past weekend's games. We don't have the South Dakota State highlights, but we've got plenty of action from Maryville, Missouri, and we start off here in this first game against Central Missouri State. Again, the Mustangs winning this contest 64-62, and Mustangs in the gold, Coach, and this first half, and Nick Smith getting you going early.
And that's a good example of us just setting up for Nick. Matt Zager with a hard drive. You see Jordan Miller with the hard drive. And those are opportunities for Nick to score easy buckets without using a whole lot of energy.
And you see the Mustangs force a turnover. 17 turnovers by Central Missouri in this contest. The Mustangs with 7 steals. And continue on here in the first half. There's Nick Smith. He had 11 points and 8 rebounds. And then Jordan Miller here connecting from downtown.
The thing that in the first half with against Northwest Mo was we could have defended the paint a little bit better after evaluating the film. Offensively, we were taking high percentage shots, just being able to finish those possessions.
Mustangs taking a charge there. Here's a good extra pass by the Mustangs, Budenhagen, and finding Lavion West with the basket. And the Mustangs continue here. Here's a long three. That was Budenhagen with the three. And here's Matt Zager again showing that when he's got an open shot, he can hit it.
And that's an perfect example of Bernard Burch creating for Matt Zager right there, and such a wide open shot. He's got to take that every time. You see here Nick Smith with extra effort, getting that offensive rebound, put back. And again, Jordan Miller finding Matt Zager with a nice skip pass for a three.
And the Mustangs only trail 36-34 at half, and that's despite Central Mo shooting 59% from the field. Far too high a percentage for the opponent, but the Mustangs able to keep it a game, 36-34, and just back and forth. A game that featured 13 lead changes and 9 ties.
And as you see, we got some momentum in the second half. We turned the tempo up a little bit, and I thought Central Mo made some decisions to allow us to get back in the game, and they helped us. We were able to capitalize on those mistakes, and a lot of it came back into transition. Our transition defense was a lot better in the second half, and we just made them shoot perimeter shots.
In transition, the Mustangs with the layup. You saw Jordan Miller be aggressive and take that one a couple of highlights ago, and here he does it again. Pull up from 15, drills it. He was 5 of 11 shooting, had 3 3-pointers in the contest.
And that shot right there, that's a big-time shot. Step back from the corner. Not many guys can do that like Jordan Miller. That's a big-time play.
And here we go, 22 seconds to go. Mustangs have the rebound. They call a timeout, and here's the final play.
Simple play. Sometimes we have to keep it simple. Jordan runs to Trammell because they had the count on him. Jordan and then Trammell gets double teamed, gives it to Matt Zager. Matt Zager just goes in, hard drive like he always does, and finishes off the glass.
And not a very easy shot at all. And here the Central Mo tries to go down, ties it, can't get it to go, and the Mustangs hold on to the win 64-62. And that's what you talk about. You work on those things in practice all the time about preparing in those last few seconds, and you score. Talk about what you teach the guys. You can't really celebrate because they're going to push it, and we've seen it happen a lot of times. And some coaches will call a timeout. Sometimes you can catch the defense sleeping, and thankfully you guys are ready to go and still play pretty good defense.
Well, we tell our guys in that situation is run to the level of the ball. That's what we say. Run to the level of the ball, defend for the whole clock. A lot of times what you'll see, and we've been guilty of it as well, is when they get to, they don't want to foul, so the guy puts his head down, and then the defender kind of quits defending, and he stands up and lets that offensive guy get that angle or turn the corner on him. Well, we really just focus on, hey, defend for the whole if you foul, if they're going to bail them out with a foul, then they're going to bail them out with a foul, but defend for the whole shot clock or the whole end of the game, and just don't let them get that last angle. Yeah,
it was a very tough shot for Matt Zager to hit that winner for the Mustangs. And again, Zager finishing with 14 points at 5 rebounds, and very difficult shot to get that to go down against a couple of defenders, but he gets the game-winning shot with 5 seconds to go, and the Mustangs win. As we mentioned, the Mustangs the next day take it on Northwest Missouri State, and we'll take a look at the highlights from Maryville as the Mustangs again fall 74-62 to the Bearcats, and Southwest in the white uniforms here in the first half. And you see a basket for the Mustangs, then a steal. Mustangs had forced 14 turnovers and coming back in transition with the basket.
And Trammell just finding Lavion came off the bench. Early on in the game was providing a spark. You saw him hit 2 jumpers and get a steal and a finish.
And Lavion 5 of 7 from the field. And here's a nice pick and roll there for Barnes to Smith.
Nice to see Sean Connon come up and knock down that shot. Again, you see Will Giddings creating an easy opportunity, or not necessarily an easy opportunity, but an opportunity for Nick.
And in this first half as well, Northwest shoots 59%. So the first halves have been a struggle defensively, but you're able to stay into the game. And here's Smith in the block and making that extra pass and just an easy layup for Zeiger.
And that was all set up by Will Giddings' extra hustle on the defensive end. That's been a big thing in us coming back. Just those little extra hustle plays, and then being able to score in transition, finish in transition.
SMSU shoots 40% in this first half, and there's a high percentage opportunity for the Mustangs. Drawing a foul is Smith, who finished 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Now into the second half, Mustangs shoot very well, 52% in the game, in the second half.
And we had our opportunities in that second half, and that's where there was a few offensive rebounds by Northwest Lowell that kind of broke our back. Definitely things that we can control, though. Some box outs, some sense of urgency things. But we fought, and that's where I'm proud of our guys. We kept fighting. The ball wasn't dropping. Some plays weren't going our way, but we kept on fighting, and we made it a ball game.
Yeah, the Bearcats went up 16 with 13 and a half minutes left in the game, but the Mustangs defensively really stepped it up. You limit Northwest to 34% shooting in the second half and to just 2 points over a 6-minute stretch. And this is where the Mustangs made the run, and Budenhagen with a couple of big threes that got it down to a 5-point game.
And again, just these possessions right here, Lavion with a nice pass to Will. Being able to get those defensive rebounds, run in transition, score in transition. Again, Jordan Miller making the steal right there, going down, gets fouled. He ends up making 2 free throws. But I did, again, evaluating. Sometimes as a coach you get frustrated because we can't score every time, but I think we realized after watching film that we did take good shots. We just need to make those shots. Right here you see Jordan Budenhagen with the 3 coming back. Next possession down, Jordan has a green light, knocks it down again. Big play by the senior, the 5th-year senior.
They got the Mustangs to within 5. Northwest makes a basket, and then Jordan Miller made a hoop there and got it down to within 5 again. But the Mustangs could not get any closer, and Northwest Mo was able to make the free throws late in the game to win 74-62. So the Mustangs finish up the non-conference portion of their schedule at 3 and 4, and now focus up on the conference this Saturday with a night game at the RA facility against University of Sioux Falls. 7 o'clock will be the tip-off at the RA facilities. The Mustangs open up conference play against the Cougars, and we'll talk about the Cougars here shortly, Coach. But one thing we do this kind of every year early in the season. We've talked about our team and whatnot and who's playing, but there's a lot of guys behind the scenes. We've got some red shirts this season that fans have known when you announced the signings over the past year or so that guys are going to make an impact here in this future for Mustang basketball. And before we talk about the conference season, let's talk about some of the guys that are redshirting this year and their roles on this team, because they are very important to get their guys ready to go and also for their development to get ready for the Mustangs next season.
We have 3 freshmen. Starts with the point guard. I was going to start with the guards, but Drew Osmundson, a point guard from Owatonna, Minnesota, about 6'1", very athletic. Again, I joke with Boosters. He came and talked at Boosters the other day, and he's got the fun task of going up against Bernard Birch and Tremel Barnes every day at practice, which is only going to make him the best player he can be throughout this year. You have Joey Bartlett. Joey Bartlett's a forward. He's a guy who can step out and shoot the basketball. He's a good athlete, can play a couple different positions for us. He is from St. Peter, Minnesota. And then you have Mitch Way, which Marshall fans should be familiar. Mitch is from Worthington. Right now, Mitch is gotten quite a bit bigger. He's probably about 220 right now, maybe even a little heavier, and a guy that can play the 4 or 5 position, high motor. And all 3 of those guys, along with Cole Martin, who's a transfer from DMAC, is from Omaha. Originally from Omaha. The 4 of those guys redshirting, they're going to be a big factor in our future, and they're really working hard right now. Coach McCowan's putting them through the grind, doing their extra workouts. And right now we're actually putting David Condon through those same workouts, making sure that even though he's not playing right now, he's only a freshman. We still have a lot of expectations for him. Still trying to get him better, getting him prepared and ready to go for when his number's called.
Yeah, they are very important, obviously, and ultimately you love to redshirt most of your players, unless obviously somebody can play right away and you can use them. But it's better to have that fifth year. They're going to be bigger, stronger, and faster than probably their true freshman season.
And this year we have 5 seniors and 4 juniors, so we have 9 upperclassmen, and that's a big number. Actually, I think we have 10. We have 10 upperclassmen, with Sean Connon being in his 3rd year of college basketball. So a lot of veteran, a lot of experience. Now we have to utilize it. Yeah,
of course. Now, the Mustangs, we talked about to wrap up the non-conference season, and at home this Saturday, a 7 o'clock start on Saturday night against the University of Sioux Falls, and the Cougars come in at 4-0 this season. It will be their first road game. Newcomer to the conference. We're very familiar with them. We've not too far away. We know what they can do. Let's talk about the Cougars and what they're going to bring to the table on Saturday night, because again, 4-0 squad, and they're going to be excited to open up the conference and to show what they're all about here in the NSIC.
With Sioux Falls, they're a talented team. They're a team that they've beat some recruits, or beat some of the NSIC schools for their recruits. They have a couple different Division I transfers. I think Coach Johnson runs a good structured offense, and defensively, we know they're going to be able to compete. And so they're going to be a tough match. I think they're we're kind of building that tradition. They're going to be our travel partner this year, so it'll be a big game on Saturday night.
Yeah, it should be fun. 7 o'clock at the RA facility. It is a whiteout night, so wear your white to the ball game in support of the Mustangs. The women's game at 5 and the men's game at 7 o'clock. Conference opener, University of Sioux Falls at the RA facility. Well, Coach, thanks for stopping by this week. As always, we appreciate the help on the highlights, and I want to say thank you to you for watching as well here on smsumustangs.com and on Marshall Local Cable Studio One. I want to thank Jess down here at Studio One as well for helping us get on the air each week. Until next time, we'll be joining us after the first conference game and get ready for the next week as we start conference season here in 2012-13. Until next time, go Mustangs!